Akhetaten's Gates, Chapter 16. I've never had so many people dote on me before. The first 3 months of my pregnancy was rather rough. I was easily nauseated by the sight or smell of food. Frankly, I just wanted to not eat altogether, but then I'd get hungry. Self-sabotage. That's what it was. And it wasn't even just food. I became a real superwoman, like the Bionic Girl or something. I could smell everything. Perfumes, sweat, flowers, animals. My nose was a divine strength. I could have probably smelled a fart from a mile away. This peculiar morning was different. I wasn't feeling ill at all. I was a little achy, but certainly not ill. I couldn't stand hiding in the bathroom anymore. It was stale and lonely, since the Menotip actually had to leave me to perform work. So I was forced, if I wanted out, to walk alone to the royal gardens. It wasn't a total loss. The sun and fresh air felt so good. Finding a cushioned seat, I placed myself in it, liking the hot pillows on my bottom, and reclining slightly with a long sigh. I untied my dress, my favorite transparent blue dress, the only dress I could still fit in, and pulled the material back, revealing my growing middle. It felt like Aten was reaching down and caressing it. It coaxed for me to close my eyes and bid me to nap. A silent lullaby was loud in my mind, as if it sang to me from the heavens. Was Aten singing? Did it really sound so beautiful? This was so nice. Showing now, aren't we? A voice asked. I gasped and pulled my dress closed, turning towards the voice. Amenhotep III was leaned against the entrance of the garden. Oh, he looked absolutely awful, so tired and burnt out. It looked as though he was contemplating giving up. You startled me, I exhaled. How are you feeling today? Hurts, he mumbled. My head, my mouth. It hurts so much. I'm sorry. He shook his head. I'm on my way to pray to the gods and goddesses for health. At this rate, I could not rule my kingdom. Isn't your son doing a good job? I asked. That's not the point. Don't you have faith in him? It's too soon to tell. Everything rests on T's shoulders. I frowned a little. I guess. She's a very strong woman. Yes, she is. But he's trying really hard. He let out a groan. I wasn't sure if it was in pain or doubt. Perhaps it was a little of both. He reached out and rubbed my belly. It's a girl. Huh? I gasped. How can you tell that? Nefertiti, I have many children. Believe me, I've learned a thing or two. I pushed his hands away. You're full of it. He gave a small chuckle, stepping back and sinking into the palace to continue on his way. On the way, he passed Amenhotep IV as he was coming to find me. He approached, placing his hands on my belly. He doesn't believe in me, does he? You heard him? I always catch the tail end of failure remarks, he sighed. I forced a smile. He's just a cranky old man, Amenhotep. Your mother and I believe in you. Draw your strength from us. Draw your strength from us. He scowled. Huh. I shall love all our children equally. Everyone will be precious. I'll be grateful for every one. So unlike him. Calm down, I soothed, kissing his cheek. He sighed and brought me into an embrace. I stroked the back of his neck comfortingly. You're doing fine. You weren't primed for this position, so you're still learning. But considering that, you've come a long way from the boy I first met. He gave me a small smile. You're right. Yes, you're right. I'm not the same. I'm much better. Even without my father's confidence, I have strong women behind me. He kissed my forehead. I love you, Nefertiti. Everyone believes that once Prince Charming marries Snow White or Cinderella, that it truly is happily ever after. That was not the case for me. Life in the palace could get very hectic. Sure, I had people who were very happy for me, like Teppy, for example. As for my in-laws, I felt they were too stressful to keep in my company for long periods of time. T was very excited about the baby. Too excited. A real headache. As for Amenhotep III, the increasing pain only contributed to make him cranky. My sisters-in-law seemed rather oblivious to us altogether, more interested in their own matters. My worst experiences came from the harem. Wives were traditionally passed down from king to prince. So, with no senior pharaoh able to come visit them, their attentions were set on my husband. They were not even truly interested, but the thought of being with Pharaoh, regardless, was worth the fight. They had grown insanely angry and envious of me, despite, at one time, being my friends. Everyone wanted to be important. A pregnant woman was no fun to a man, and needed more women to entertain him. So was how they thought. This was how I came to realize that I could no longer trust them. I was wandering down the corridors, growing impatient of my husband. My hormones were going crazy, and I had grown spontaneously needy. Bless his patience. I knew he wanted to be with me as much as possible. Every moment of every day if he could. But the constant placement of him in the court, and me in a sheltered shadow, really made things difficult. I was taking confident steps as I kept wandering, hoping to see him. And I did. I saw him coming up the hallway. Eager, I opened my mouth to call for him, but stopped short. We were along the corridor leading to the harem, and from the harem slipped out a young woman, pressing herself against him, running her hand seductively along his body. It surprised him, as he had not really been paying attention to where he was going, and it made my blood boil. "You're in a hurry," she giggled, letting her dress slide off her shoulder, teasing him with a glimpse of her not-so-ample cleavage. She was a younger bride, having only been with Amenhotep III once, and having no child. She was a year or so older than Amenhotep IV, and quite eager to make her living as a harem wife, eager to produce a prince to thrust her into the royal dynasty. But the sound of her voice and her sexual eagerness grated on my ears. "Huh? Oh, yes. Who are you?" Amenhotep asked. "You don't know me?" "Ah, yes. You never visit the harem. I'm one of the wives you are inheriting from your father. I'm rather new here, compared to some of the others. I'm so lonely and, though deflowered, virtually untouched. I am still quite fresh, and would make His Young Majesty a wonderful playmate. My body is a temple, a holy garden just waiting for your seed." He gently removed her hands from his person, separating her from him. "Big deal. You still receive an income even without such things, and you are capable of making a living with more productive matters. You need not remain on your back for the rest of your life. I'm afraid I've no use for a harem bride at this point." "You come off as so cold," she purred. "I am Mekadamose." "Hello, Mekadamose," he replied flatly. "Oh, say my name again, Young Majesty. It brings me delight. It lights a fire in me. I ache for you." He turned up his nose. "Don't get so proud. You've been here for a couple of years now. You didn't see me last year. Why pretend to see me now?" Mekadamose frowned. "You really are cold." "Please, excuse me." "You're going to her, aren't you?" she accused. "I am, and I have every right to. I need not answer to you." "I don't see how it would be any of your business," he retorted. "How dull," she sighed, moving hair out of her face. "She's blowing up, Highness. She's not lovely as we are right now. Pregnant people find sex so awkward. Surely Highness would enjoy other options to entertain his time." "Sex. Sex, sex, sex. I am a believer in love, my dear," he said bitterly. "I am going to the wife of whom I love. I've no time for my father's sluts." "How dare you? Mechadamose shouted. I'll dare as I please, he replied simply. I dare not share my father's spoils, and as acting pharaoh in his absence, I'm certainly free to say and do as I please, regardless of what you think I should do or say. And with that, he walked past her regally. She spun around in a fit and grit her teeth, looking almost like a cartoon. You're no good. Is that it? You're no good at sex. That's why you want the love you seek. That's why you do not partake of the many willing bodies that wish to bring you pleasure. Everyone will see your shame. Everyone will see how poor you are. She'll adore you so much that she'll politely overlook your shortcomings. She'll overlook your sexual failures. Or maybe the rumors are true. You are a woman posing as a man, hiring some lucky sport to impregnate your queen to continue with the charade. I'm pretty sure he would have reacted with a violent authority, and would have been free to do so. The look on his face showed that he was absolutely furious. Fuming furious. Had I been in my right mind, he might have frightened me. That is, if I was in my right mind. But I was so fueled by my hormones and jealousy that, like a bat out of hell, I flew forward, past Amenhotep, who became startled, and grabbed at Mechadamose's hair. She let out a surprised scream. You! Stupid bitch! I spat at her. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak so out of line? How dare you? To your own king! Nefertiti, where did you come from? Amenhotep gasped in surprise. A growing crowd began to congregate about us. I paid them no mind as I continued to assault on the wench. Faintly, I could hear them cheering. Mechadamose was a lot of mouth and attitude, but she had no fight to back her up. She flailed about in my grip, hoping for a lucky strike. This is where my tomboy upbringing had an advantage. The more she struggled, the more agitated I became. I began to land punches and sling her about like a rag doll. One last throw and I slammed her face into the wall. Knockout. Down she went, completely unconscious, and now missing a few teeth. Other than that, no serious damage, but I can safely say that she wasn't as pretty as she was a few minutes before. The silence hung for only a few seconds before I received highly entertained applause. T pushed through the crowd with a proud clap. Well done, Nefertiti! Huh? I let out as I looked around. A real initiation, she declared. I remember the first time I punched out a harem whore. Very good. I suddenly began to sniffle. My emotions were an overload. Amenhotep rushed to me. Nefertiti, are you hurt? I want a hug, I cried, turning to him and burying my face in his chest, letting out unreasonable sobs. Isn't she precious? T cooed. She peered down at Mechadamose. Dumb witch. Why will they learn? They'll spread their legs for any political advantage. They all pray for sons so to dump the queens from their place. She came over and pat my head. Don't fret, child. You are my son's true beloved. He is well behaved. I have trained him all proper for you. I gave another pathetic sniffle and cried out, I want a cookie! I lay on the garden couch, my face buried in the cushions. Amenhotep sat in a seat beside me, stroking my arm attentively. Are you better now? I wiped my face and nodded, turning over as I felt an odd sensation. I brought my hands to my belly. The baby's moving. He leaned over further, placing his hands on my belly and smiling. It's so amazing. Really, a life. So real. What do you think it will be? He looked a little surprised. By that sort of question. What do you think? You're hoping for a son, aren't you? Does it really matter? He asked. Does it? I retorted. He gave me a smile and a soft chuckle. Not to me. What difference does it make? Does gender make a child any more or less beautiful? Dare I condemn a child for something over which it has no control? The gender does not matter to me. It only matters to politics. I'm more than happy to have a family rather than a political campaign. Our baby will be born of my seed. That is all I need to love it. You are so noble, I swooned. But since it doesn't matter to you, what do you think? He stood, raising his arms over his head as he stretched. I think... Oh, he was being crafty. He was stalling and evading. He didn't want to answer me. No answer would suffice, and he knew it. Very well. My aggressions had been taken out to great lengths on the harem witch. I was easily appeased now. What would you like to call it if we have a boy? If we have a boy? He was still doing it, not wanting to look too eager. I had to hand it to him. He was getting rather good at this sort of thing. He'd been around women a long time and learned a thing or two. Still, I enjoyed special moments between us like this. Smenkare. Smenkare? I repeated, arching a brow. That's a rather unique name. I like it. What? Not, Amenhotep V? I teased. Oh, hush! No more Amenhoteps. Smenkare is much better. He leaned down, placing a hand back on my belly. However, it probably won't matter. My parents are convinced that it is a girl. I'm afraid I can't discredit them. They both have experience, after all. We're just pathetic first-timers. So I suppose I'm inclined to believe them. So I think it's a girl. It seems to be a mystic wisdom everyone has, except for me. You escape me, he replied suddenly, scratching his head. Sometimes it's like you come from an entirely different world. Then I could easily dismiss some of the strange things you say as a simple culture gap. But I just don't get you. Listen to me. I've picked it up too. Your strange way of speaking spreads like an epidemic disease among those who love you. I crossed my arms. I guess that means you are not the only unique one. Nefer Keepy Wiki Woo. Damn it! Why did you have to pick such a hard name to pronounce? He laughed, kissing my nose. Unique is fine. I like the break from the ordinary humdrum. Don't you forget it, I smirked. I make life interesting. My pregnancy soon eased on me. My body became rather used to having another life growing inside of me. Although, when I thought about it, it felt more like an alien parasite. The illness had subsided, and I was finally able to function in spurts. Weight and hormonal mood swings were my burdens then. But as pregnancies go, it went quite smoothly. My radiance bred more and more jealousy through the harem. But none dared test the boundaries of my wrath. Mekaramose was enough of an example. I remember the inevitable day. My morning went as normal. I awoke and went to my very hearty breakfast. I was very pleased, even to the point of giddiness for my satisfaction. It stirred some amusement for my sisters-in-law, mother-in-law, and of course, my husband. After such a meal, the household dispersed about their business. Everyone had duties for which they were responsible. I actually felt rather left out. There was time to learn my duties after I had this baby. I was a giant ball right now. Damn. I was bored. And I was bored all the way into the afternoon. Despite the hustle and bustle of court, the palace was rather quiet, save, of course, the sounds of everyday rigmarole. Of course, on top of that was the echo of Amenhotep III's snores. Yet again, he'd become bedridden with his pains. But at least he was capable of sleeping his pains away. The corridor was cool and shady. It was certainly a nice day to be inside. It was very pleasant indeed, as I waddled and wobbled my way along. Highness, you seem rather active today. I turned and greeted the individual with a smile. Tappy! I would not have expected to see you today. How do you always manage to pop up out of nowhere? Maybe, he breathed and moaned. I'm a ghost. Ooh. Keep talking like that and you'll be a loony, I teased. He came alongside me, escorting me. Aren't you busy? Off to something important? I'm taking a break, Teppy replied. Tea and Amenhotep have it under control. I suppose that's good news then, I said with a confident nod. It seems like it's so hard to see anybody these days. I'm afraid that sort of thing is rather common in the royal household. I let out a long sigh, only to let out a rather high-pitched squeal. Oh! Oh my! Teppy seemed to become momentarily petrified. Is something wrong, Your Majesty? What is it? Oh! I leaned over. Oh, Teppy, I think I'm in labor. Oh! He gasped. Oh my! Oh no! Oh! He began to pace hysterically. Help! He rushed and grabbed me. Oh, does it hurt? Are you in pain? I glared at him in utter disbelief. Are you serious? Oh, of course, he stammered. Can you walk? Get off my feet, Teppy, and shut up! You're freaking me out! Me too, he whined. He tried to lead me along, almost being more of a hindrance. By the time we got to the birthing room, in fact, just as we reached the outside of it, my water broke. Teppy became frantic, crying out incoherently, trying to get some assistance. Teppy, get away from me! Stay here! Don't move! I ordered. But you're having a baby! Don't you realize that you're having a baby? I wiped my hands over my face, considering if beating him with a statue was a good idea. Really, Teppy? That would probably explain these excruciating contractions then, wouldn't it? Damn! Men are so clueless. I pushed him out of my way and waddled into the birthing room. It was empty, save 3 midwives, and now myself. Once they saw me, they rushed to my aid with well-rehearsed precision. 2 younger, more inexperienced midwives came alongside me to help me onto the birthing blocks. An older midwife took center stage. She was an elderly, dark-skinned woman, looking like a prune, a bloodhound, and a Shar-Pei, with crazy gray hair on her head, almost like an old troll witch, complete with a wart on her cheek aside her nose. She gave me a confident smile, which made her all the more frightening, as she only had a total of 3 teeth in her mouth. She must have been over 1,000 years old. The strangest thing yet was that she was the most precise and reliable. Aten, help us. She pushed Teppy out of the room as he tried to invade. I think she said something to him, but her gummy lips just slapped together, making no sense, at least if she was supposed to. She then came to sit in front of me, peering up at me, casually examining my situation. Oh, she was touching me. Yes. I see very clearly. Yep, she's a woman, girls, she laughed. How can you make jokes at a time like this? I screamed. Be a good sport. This is my first baby, I stated. I'm only 16. Hush, Troll Nurse ordered, looking again. You're in labor. What did I do to deserve this? I cried out. Wasn't that fact rather obvious? I know that, I shouted. I want my husband. Go get my husband. Amenhotep will go retrieve him, she replied, referring to Teppy. She spoke so slowly and in such a gummy way that I really just wanted to knee her in the face. She aggravated me. You sent Teppy of all people to fetch my husband? That man is currently a blithering idiot. Or haven't you noticed? By the time he's of any use to us, I'll be delivering my 3rd child. Be calm, Highness, Troll Nurse insisted. Just remain still. You don't have a giraffe ready to fall out of your crotch. How could you tell me to do such a thing? A giraffe? She repeated. His Majesty might be displeased that you would have an affair with an animal, and such a big one. It might make him insecure about his tools. I let out a whine. Everybody was an idiot or a comedian. Why? I really wasn't liking this woman right now. What's going on? I heard Amenhotep the Fourth call from the outside of the birthing room. Teppy and the guards held him back as T slipped in casually, peering over Troll Nurse's shoulder. What are they doing? I asked in short pants. Why won't they let him in? If she's to give birth, I demand to be with her, he roared. Forgive me, my prince, one of the guards stated. We cannot let you in there. I can do as I please. Let me go, he yelled out, freeing himself from the guards, grabbing one by the wig, and slinging him into the other guard. Teppy raised his hands and backed off, not wishing to incur any of this amazing power Amenhotep mysteriously displayed. Accepting this act of submission, Amenhotep marched past him and into the birthing room to stand beside his mother. She peered over at him with the most casual of glances, as if nothing was strange about the ordeal. A little determined? You weren't any help, he muttered. Well, you're a big boy. I was amazed, actually. I would have never expected Amenhotep to be so strong and forceful. And oh boy, did he seem really strong, despite his appearance. He really had developed some muscle over the years, hadn't he? If I wasn't too busy giving birth, I may have even been turned on by such a display. First things first. Before anything went in, this had to come out. The younger midwives had become frozen where they were, terrified of Amenhotep, and fearing what he could do or say to them. Troll Nurse ignored him for the most part. So long as he didn't get in her way, she seemed to not care if he was present or not. He watched very intently, making empathic expressions with every part of my suffering. Oh, it felt like an eternity. These new sensations jolted through my body. Damn it. I would have given anything for someone to magically invent the epidural right now. No such luck. Still, I have to give great praise to the efforts of my husband. He was a very good sport, coming to me after every contraction and encouraging me, telling me how proud he was of me. As for T, she spent her time yelling at the midwives. She seemed to do this best, yelling at everyone who actually worked if she was unable to get her hands in the mix. She brought the younger midwives to tears. The Troll Nurse was still ignoring her very presence. You're doing fine, Nefertiti. Keep going like that, Troll Nurse urged. I can't, I cried out. I'm so tired. I don't have anything left. If you have enough energy to whine, then you have enough energy to push. Tell those complaints that if they want a hole to escape, to come down to your crotch and help push out a baby, and use that hole to their content. How vulgar, T remarked. You're still spouting all such offensive rubbish. Amenhotep came behind me, assisting to hold me up. Wow, he really was strong. I could feel the muscles he had developed tighten. They weren't very visible, but I could feel them like this. He was no Hercules, but he certainly wasn't the same pudding boy I met years ago. You can do it, he whispered. Just calm down and take a few deep breaths, then push again. T suddenly grew the biggest of smiles. Son, if you really want to watch the birth, you might want to come to this end. The baby's head is coming. Really? He gasped, releasing me, making the younger midwives surprised as they took up my weight themselves, and he came around to look. Bastard. Would you like to feel the head? Troll Nurse asked. No! I want it out of me! I shouted. You're doing a fantastic job, I heard Amenhotep cheer. Keep it up. Why don't you just shut your mouth for 5 goddamn minutes? I spat. Boy, did he ever get caught off guard with that one. He gave a worried glance towards his mother. It's all right, she chuckled. This is a temporary insanity. Trust me, it'll pass, and she will become her normal self once again. When you were born, I punched your father in the face and threatened to gut him like a fish, so he knew what he put all these women through. That's kind of scary, he whimpered. I let out a loud scream as I gave one final push. Everyone seemed to release a long-held exhale, and the baby plopped out and let out a cry. It's a girl! Amenhotep announced. I have a baby girl! He gave a once around and danced, chanting of our victory. The baby was fine, and so was I, though a little worse for wear. T bounced over, snatching up the baby and cradling her. I knew it! I knew it'd be a girl! I'm just glad it's over, I sighed. Amenhotep ran to the entrance, announcing to all he could hear. I'm a father! I'm a father! It's a baby girl! I'm so sorry, a guard said, bowing his head. But do not fret, Majesty. You are still a young man, and practice makes perfect. Perhaps next time she will get it right and bear you a son. Well, that poor man obviously was not aware of Teppy standing behind him, making cutting motions for him to silence himself. Nor the narrowing glare of my husband. And what is that supposed to mean? Amenhotep growled. A son! A son! The guard repeated rudely, and once again Amenhotep snatched him up by his wig. That child may not be a son, but she is a royal princess. She is your superior, and in case you had forgotten, so am I. The guard glanced towards Teppy, who simply nodded in confirmation. He's right, you know. You really should show him some proper respect. He is a grown and capable man. He has taken a queen, and he has had his first child. Regardless, you should always show the most respect for all members of the royal family. Amenhotep tossed him aside, a rather silent and rude dismissal as he returned to the crying baby and me. Gently, he took her into his arms. He cooed at her, almost naturally. The baby in turn grew quiet and content. My beautiful baby girl. She replied to him by giving gurgly baby noises. My precious Akhetaten. Akhetaten? I asked. How come you get to name her? I'm the one who gave birth. You don't like it? He asked me. Damn his eyes! Well, what does it mean? I mean, what makes that name so special to you? Beloved of the Aten, he smiled. She is a blessing to us, our beloved child. Aten is pleased. Slowly I smiled as I processed and contemplated the name. Yes, that's very true. Very well then. Akhetaten it is.